Hey guys, this is practice for the quiz for sticker 2 in Algebra 1. Okay, so you're going to get a quiz that looks similar to this, and it'll say attempt, and you're going to put 1. All right, so it'll look similar to this, only it'll only be 5 questions. So you might imagine maybe I pick 3 of these and 2 of these, and this will be your quiz. Okay, so there's a couple ways to study. You also might be watching this video because you already took it and you didn't do well. So you might be watching it over again in order to take a second or a third attempt. And at max, you have 3 attempts and then you're done. You got to stick with what you got. Okay, so let's do it. Practice with exponents is the first concept is negative exponents. So in the task, they ask, can you rewrite it with a negative, or if it's positive, with a positive? So here, first let's focus on just writing the ones that have a negative exponent. So each of these have a negative exponent, and depending on the class, some classes we actually did this together. So some of your homework is already done. You can feel pretty good about yourself, right? So then that would mean if we get a chance to do this in class, then your homework is to memorize this sheet, practice it, learn it, think it back over based on what we did in class. Okay, so as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm rewriting it, and if it's in the numerator as a negative exponent, I can rewrite it in the denominator as a positive exponent. Here, it's listed as a negative exponent, so I can rewrite it with the base of 63 and have the exponent be positive. So I want to point something out here that I pointed out in class. All of these are positive numbers. So each of these are positive values. So what does a negative exponent do? It doesn't change it into a negative number. It simply just might change it into a really, really small number or a really, really big number. That's what the negative exponent is doing, is it's saying if it's in the numerator and it's negative, then it would be positive when we list it in the denominator. Okay, so can we rewrite an exponent in the denominator that's positive? So we can think of this as going backwards. So notice if you started with the question 14x, 14 to the power of 8 in the denominator, you could go backwards and rewrite the equation this way. So instead of going from here to here, you could also go, if it looked like this, you could rewrite it like that. Okay, so in the same way, I'm going to rewrite this to be in a negative exponent. Same thing here. This in the denominator, I can rewrite it in the numerator, but it has a negative exponent. Again, we went over this in class. Another class, we had a little less time. So just depending on the class, make sure that in either class, you're ready to take a quiz on this topic, okay? So if 18 to the power of 14 is in the denominator, I can list it in the numerator as a negative exponent. Okay, let's say you feel pretty good about that. What else could you do? Well, you could practice on V3. So you don't get points for going to IXL, but you get points for the quiz. So you can think of the quiz as a way to practice. So notice here, I said, no, it's not negative, so I'm not going to pick 1. This one looks like they rewrote the negative in the denominator. Notice the third choice is a negative number, and this is not a negative number. And the last choice would be incorrect. Okay, so I'm going to submit my answer. Good job. Okay, so now we see here, could I rewrite this with a negative exponent? Hopefully you're thinking, sure, right? 16 to the power of negative 6. I can rewrite my exponent. What would this be equal to? I should be able to rewrite it in the denominator. Notice all these other choices are incorrect. They're showing that the value is negative when in fact it's not. It's just that the exponent should be in the denominator. Okay. Could I keep going? Sure. This one has another example of me writing the exponent as a negative. So I could rewrite this exponent as a negative 15 in the numerator. Which one properly rewrites it? This one, right? Okay, so back to our scrap of paper. What else? So the quiz might have 2 or 3 questions on that. And might also, and we'll also have questions about multiplication with exponents. So the rule we reviewed in class is if the base is the same, so here, the base is the same, and if we're just multiplying, which we are, then essentially we're saying we would take 4 r's and we multiply it by 3 more r's. So that's a total of 7 r's that we're multiplying by themselves. Essentially, we could have just added these exponents. So although we're multiplying, and we are definitely not adding, in a way, as a shortcut, we could think of this as adding those exponents. And that's a quicker way than writing it out. So we can follow that pattern and add exponents until it gets a little hard to add. So these start to get a little harder when we add exponents. -1 plus 0 is x to the -1. 5 minus 1, that'd be 4. -8 plus 6, that'd be -2. This, a lot of students forget that if I have r to the power of 1, most of the time, I just list it by itself without an exponent. But it's okay to rewrite it then, and then I get r to the 0 times r to the 1. So just like I've been adding 5 and -1 added together, or just like I added 4 and 7 to get 11, I'm going to continue to add. So I get r to the 1. I could list that either as this or that. Okay, so here we have s 1 minus 8, which would be s -7. Last one, like we pointed out here, we have v to the exponent of 1. So we can add these exponents. -1 plus 1 is 0, though. And we talked about in class, anything to the power of 0 has to be 1. So what happened here? Well, in question number 9, we could rewrite this 1 over v to the 1, and this part is just v to the 1. So notice this is v over v, which is definitely 1. So that's why our answer to 9 is 1. Okay, let's say you did that, and you feel good. You're good. You're just going to come take the quiz. Let's assume, though, you still need some help. Just say, well, I watched you do it, but I'm not sure I know how. You can go to IXL and practice. So V4. Now, you don't get points for going to practice, but you can think of getting points because if you do well on the test, you'll do well in the class, right? So n to the power of 7, because I'm adding 3 and 4. K to the power of 14, because I'm adding 9 and 5. T to the power of 14, because I'm adding 9 and 5. D to the power of 11, because I'm adding 6 and 5. Z to the power of 15. Okay, so I think we've all got the hang of it. It's just going to get a little harder when the numbers are 0 or 1. So we just have to pay attention. We can't get lazy. We just have to stay alert that they could get us some hard ones. There we go. F to the 1 times F to the 1. That would be F squared. 1 plus 1. That's how many F's we're multiplying by itself. Ooh, okay, F to the 0 times F to the 1. That's still just F to the 1 or F. 1 plus 0 is 1. Excellent. Okay, 0 plus 3 is still 3. So D to the power of 3. M minus 3 plus 4 would be m to the 1. So we have 1m there. N to the 1, remember there's a 1 there, minus 2, so that would be n to the power of -1. Great job. Ooh, and then it gets crazy. So I don't think anything on our quiz is going to get that crazy. So let's go back to our video And just remind ourselves, that's all we need to do for our homework is to just fill out this paper, or if it's already filled out, make sure we're committing it to memory so that we're ready for Sticker 2, Algebra 1.